The late August air hung heavy as I stepped out of the taxi, my duffel bag thudding against my hip, its weight a silent testament to the 22 years I'd been gone. The Virginia countryside stretched around me, the scent of damp earth and fading summer clinging to my skin. My heart thudded with a mix of hope and dread as I approached the ivy-clad stone house that had once been my sanctuary. Before I reached the cracked stone steps, my brother Elias was already on the phone, his voice a sharp blade cutting through the dusk. I froze at the wrought iron gate, its rusted hinges groaning under years of neglect, a security camera swiveling above like a watchful predator. I pressed the intercom, my voice rough from disuse. "Elias, it's me, Lena." A harsh buzz crackled back, followed by silence. I tried again, my throat tightening. The front door creaked open and Elias stepped out, his tailored suit a stark contrast to the faded uniform clinging to my frame. He held the phone to his ear, eyes narrowing as if I were a trespasser. "I'm calling the police," he said, his tone icy. "Someone's trying to break in, claiming to be family." The words hit like a shockwave, stealing the air from my lungs. "Elias, this was our home," I said, my voice trembling but firm. He descended the steps, his polished shoes clicking against the stone. "Not yours anymore, Lena. You've been gone too long. That uniform doesn't change a thing." I tightened my grip on the duffel, its straps biting into my palm. "I just retired from the army. I thought I'd see Mom, maybe Dad." He scoffed, a bitter edge to his laugh. "You should have thought of them before you disappeared for 22 years. We've moved on. You're not in the will, not on the deed." The rejection stung deeper than any wound I'd taken in Kabul. "I grew up here," I said, my voice low, pointing to the old willow tree leaning against the attic window. "I fell from that branch when I was 10, bled all over the living room rug you probably threw out." His jaw clenched, a muscle twitching. "You always made it about you. You think a major's badge earns you a hero's welcome after all this time." A police cruiser rolled up the narrow lane, its blue lights flashing silently against the twilight. My gut twisted as two officers stepped out, one weathered, the other barely out of training. The older one paused, recognition flickering in his eyes. "Lena Voss? Just retired, Major Intelligence Corps." I nodded, my throat dry. "This is my parents' house." The younger officer glanced at Elias, who stood with arms crossed, a smug tilt to his chin. "Properties under Elias Voss and Margaret Voss. No record of Lena Voss with ownership or residency rights." My mouth opened then closed. "Margaret Voss, my mother?" Elias's face remained a mask of stone. "She moved in after selling the house we grew up in. This was Grandma's. I renovated it legally." I whispered, "I don't care about legalities. It was home." The older officer cleared his throat. "Ma'am, without proof of residence you'll need to leave." My hands shook as I fumbled for my discharge papers, knowing they wouldn't sway this. I stepped back, boots scuffing the gravel, tears prickling, tears I hadn't shed when I lost comrades or endured my last mission. This house, the place that shaped me, refused to acknowledge me. My phone buzzed, a sharp intrusion. I grabbed it with numb fingers, reading a text from Mom. "Return to base. Nothing here for you." I let it drop to the ground, my gaze lifting to the living room window. Dad's silhouette sat motionless, a statue of indifference, not a glance my way. That night I slept in my car, the house's dark outline a haunting silhouette against the moon. Sleep eluded me, my eyes tracing every flicker of the porch light, every creak of the wind stirring memories of childhood laughter now silenced. This was supposed to be my anchor, my inheritance. Now it felt like a battlefield. By morning, a "for sale" sign pierced the lawn, its red letters a fresh wound. Drained and bleary-eyed, I dragged myself to a diner off Route 29. Tara, my college roommate turned lawyer, was already there, her pressed blazer a stark contrast to my crumpled uniform. Her smile was warm, a lifeline. "I saw the listing this morning," she said, sliding her tablet across the chipped formica table. The house was listed under Oak Ridge Ventures LLC. My breath caught. "Oak Ridge Ventures?" She nodded, her expression grim. 3 months ago a transfer was recorded. Your name's on the seller line." I stared at the screen, the signature a cruel mockery. "That's not mine. I never signed anything." She passed me a notary document, it's stamped from someone under investigation for fraud. "They sold their old house and funneled it through yours," she said. Elias's wife, Nina, might be involved. She's in logistics. My stomach churned. Logistics. Tara tapped a note in her file. City utilities show a spike in energy use. Refrigeration maybe. No permits filed. An email pinged from Mom. This isn't betrayal, just practicality. You're never here. Love, Mom. The words felt like a dagger justifying theft with maternal coldness. I need to know what's inside that house, I murmured, my voice steady despite the storm within. Tara hesitated, her brow furrowing. It could be dangerous, Lena. If they're into something illegal. I met her gaze. I'm not walking away. She nodded once. Then we start with a forensic document analyst. I'll file for an injunction to freeze the title. But be careful. People who forge deeds don't play by the rules. The day blurred with tense calls and hushed meetings, my mind racing. That evening I parked down the block watching the house. The air was thick, summer's last gasp. At 10:45, a man lingered near a street lamp, his presence subtle but deliberate. When he left, I found a note under my wiper. If you're the real Lena, meet me at lane 5, 11 p.m. alone. I stared down the winding path behind the old bakery, heart pounding. With 10 minutes to spare, I didn't hesitate. The alley was cloaked in shadow, the hum of crickets a faint backdrop. Tom, a retired sailor turned mechanic, stepped forward, his weathered face tense. They call you unstable after your service, he whispered, but I've seen Nina's crew unload crates at night. Black vans, no plates. I clutched the recorder in my jacket pocket, scanning the empty lane. What's in those crates? I asked. Don't know, he said, voice low. But Nina's there, weakly, gloved, silent. Something's off. I recalled her last words at Grandma's funeral. Stick to your wars, Lena. This isn't your fight. Her smugness lingered. That night I returned, camera on, crouching behind a sagging fence. Midnight brought 2 vans, headlights off. 4 men emerged. One armed, one with a clipboard. Nina appeared, directing with calm efficiency. Boxes moved, gloved hands swift. This wasn't squatting, it was organized. She entered the shed and I crept closer, planting the recorder by a vent. Voices murmured, then one cut through. If she digs deeper, cut her out. Dad's voice, unmistakable. I froze, the weight of it sinking in. I retreated, hands trembling, clutching the device. Back in my car, I replayed the audio, isolating his words. Sleep didn't come. At dawn, I checked the vent. The recorder was gone. Panic surged, metallic on my tongue. My cover was slipping. I drove to the diner, heart racing, barely touching my coffee when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You're playing with fire. I have your psych report. Want to see? The screen blurred as I stared, the cliffhanger looming. The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed faintly as I sat across from Tara. The cryptic text still burning in my mind. You're playing with fire. I have your psych report. Want to see? My hands trembled slightly, clutching the coffee mug, the warmth doing little to steady the chill creeping up my spine. The August heat had given way to a crisp September morning, the Virginia air carrying the first hints of fall, dry leaves skittering across the parking lot outside. Tara's sharp eyes studied me, her tablet open beside a stack of documents. That message changes things, she said, her voice low. They're watching you, Lena. We need to move fast. I nodded, the recorder's absence from the vent replaying in my head. Dad's voice was on that audio. He wants me silenced. I need proof beyond what Tom saw. Tara leaned forward, her fingers tapping the table. I've got a forensic document analyst lined up. Someone who can verify the deed's forgery. The injunction's filed. It's pending review at Fairfax County Hall. But we need more, something concrete to force their hand. I thought of the shed, the vans, Nina's calm directives. There's activity in that basement, I said. Tom mentioned refrigeration. Could be storage, illegal storage. She scribbled a note. I'll subpoena utility records. If there's no permit, that's leverage. My phone buzzed again, a voicemail this time. Mom's voice, hesitant. Lena, come home. We can talk this out. The irony twisted in my gut. Home was the last place I felt welcome. That afternoon, I drove to a nondescript office in Arlington, meeting the analyst, a wiry man named Paul with a reputation for unearthing truth. He examined the deed photo I'd snapped, his magnifying glass hovering over the signature. This isn't your hand, he said after a long silence. The pressure points are off, too smooth like a tracing. And the notary stamp? Matches a guy flagged for fraud 2 years ago. He handed me a report, its pages dense with technical jargon. I'd bet my license it's forged. Get me the original and I can confirm. Thanked him, my mind racing. The original will was with Grandma's old lawyer if he still practiced. I called Tara, relaying the findings. We need that will, she said. I'll track down the attorney. Meanwhile, stay low, they're spooked. The next evening I parked near the house again, the September air cooler now, tinged with the scent of burning leaves. A figure lingered by the gate. Dad, his navy coat zipped tight, hat low. He motioned me to a nearby lot. I approached, my boots crunching gravel. You've changed, he said, not meeting my eyes. Not for the better. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I served 22 years, Dad. You're the one I don't recognize. His jaw tightened. You left. We built something here. I stepped closer. You mean you stole it? Grandma left me that house. I have the audio, your voice saying to cut me out. His eyes flickered, a crack in his stoic mask. We protected the family name. Your return threatens that. Nina's work keeps us afloat. I shook my head. Afloat with what? Fraud. He adjusted his collar, avoiding my gaze. You're not one of us anymore. He turned, a black SUV pulling up, its driver, the same silent man from the shed, opening the door. Rain began to fall, soaking through my jacket as I stood alone, the truth colder than the drops. Back in my car, I found another envelope under the wiper, plain and taped shut. Inside was a photocopy of Grandma's will, my name clear, the property address unchanged. A handwritten note was stapled to it. I notarized this 15 years ago. They falsified it later. James Carter. My heart pounded. Proof. I texted Tara. This changes everything. She replied instantly, meet me tomorrow. We're taking it to court. The next day we sat in Tara's cramped office, the will spread before us. This is gold, she said, scanning the document. But we need more to tie it to their scheme. I mentioned the shed activity. She nodded. I'll request a warrant based on the utility spike in forgery. But we need eyes inside. That night I returned to the alley, recorder replaced, camera on. 2 vans arrived, Nina directing again. I caught muffled voices through the vent. Move the goods before she gets a warrant. The audio was garbled, but Nina's tone was unmistakable. I retrieved it, hands steady despite the adrenaline. At a secure Zoom call, Tara, a tech named Sam, and I reviewed the evidence. Sam, a former NSA analyst, parsed the audio. Nina's voice, clear enough for court. Background noise suggests heavy equipment, maybe refrigerated units. I uploaded the will and deed analysis. Sam whistled. This forgery's sloppy. They used an old tax form of yours, notarized by a lapsed official. Tara leaned in. We file tomorrow. Fraud, conspiracy, maybe racketeering if Oak Ridge ties to federal contracts. I felt a surge of focus. They erased me, but I'll expose them. The filing at Fairfax County Hall was tense. The clerk's casual, deeds active, drew a hard look from Tara. We're petitioning an injunction, she said, sliding our folder, will forgery report, audio snippet, across the counter. My uniform, adorned with medals, felt like armor as I added, Major Voss, retired. I grew up there. By noon, a temporary hold was stamped, a small victory. Driving to the house, Elias's car was in the driveway. Tara handed me the injunction envelope. Let's do this together. I rang the bell. Elias opened, his smile fading at my uniform, then Tara. You're served, she said, handing him the papers. All transfers are suspended. He snarled, this is a joke. Nina appeared, her voice oily. You don't know who you're up against. I met her gaze. I've handled worse at the Pentagon. They retreated, the door slamming. Back at Tara's we dug deeper. Sam sent a report. Oak Ridge Ventures linked to a 2015 fraud probe, Nina's name on logistics. A wire transfer to Elias's account matched the deed date. An email leaked. She's close. Clean house by the 20th. Tara's phone rang. Prosecutor's office. Trials pushed up due to flight risk. I leaned back, adrenaline humming. They're unraveling. Let's hit harder. That night, a cease and desist arrived from Oak Ridge Legal. I ignored it, mailing my report to the Inspector General. Bank records, audio will. An automated reply confirmed receipt. Tara called. They'll want financials. Sam's on it. I smiled grimly. They'll have to do more than send letters. Elsewhere, Elias was losing control, Tara heard, ranting at a zoning clerk. The pieces were falling, the cliffhanger looming. The federal courthouse in Alexandria loomed under a gray October sky, its marble facade cold and unyielding as I stepped inside with Tara. The air smelled of polished wood and tension, the hum of voices echoing off the high ceilings. My uniform, adorned with ribbons earned over 22 years, felt heavier than ever. Not just fabric but a shield against the family that had erased me. The elevator ride to the 7th floor was silent, my reflection in the brushed metal doors a stranger, muted blazer and slacks hiding the soldier within, but my resolve was iron. Tara stood beside me, her leather case a quiet promise of justice. A stone-faced paralegal led us to a glass-walled conference room where Assistant U.S. Attorney Daniel Hayes waited, his handshake firm but neutral. His eyes didn't waver as Tara set down a bulging folder. Voss, he began, thanks for coming. We've reviewed the Inspector General's intake. A criminal inquiry is warranted. The words landed with a weight that steadied me. The forged deed, bank transfers, Nina's logistics, Dad's voice on the audio, all laid bare. I spoke, my voice steady from years of debriefings. They used my discharge credentials for federal contracts, turned Grandma's house into a waypoint. Tara added, we've confirmed Mr. Voss acted as a proxy, masking conflicts, potential conspiracy. Hayes opened a binder. We're issuing subpoenas for Elias Voss, Lena Voss and Henry Voss. Hearing set for 2 weeks, closed session. I leaned forward. Keep me anonymous until then. They've threatened me. He nodded. Protective status granted, but anonymity may lift with charges. I exhaled. By then I'll speak. That afternoon, we waited in the lobby of Elias's nonprofit, a sleek building reeking of new money. Tara had insisted on serving the subpoena in person. Elias didn't know we watched from behind mirrored glass. He strode in, heels clicking, a forced smile for the receptionist. A U.S. Marshal stepped forward, envelope in hand. You're summoned under federal subpoena for conspiracy and fraud. The receptionist gasped, phones pausing mid-scroll. Elias's smile shattered, his hand trembling as he took the papers, eyes scanning the lobby. He didn't see me, but the empire he'd built on silence began to crack. Later, exiting the federal building, the air carried a damp chill, wet concrete and pollen mixing with the tension. I've never seen a case turn this fast, Tara murmured. They know they're exposed. I nodded. Good. They should be. In the parking garage, a black sedan idled across the street, tinted windows and no plates, a silent watcher. My pulse quickened, the cliffhanger palpable. The courtroom 2 weeks later was a stark contrast. Cold white lights, pale walls, steel benches humming under my weight. I stood at the witness table, right hand raised, the oath catching in my throat like sandpaper. I didn't shake, but memories flooded back. Grandma handing me the house keys, returning to find my name gone, Dad's voice plodding in the dark. Now I stood not as the disowned daughter, but as a retired major intelligence veteran and plaintiff. The prosecutor, Hayes, began. Voss, describe what was done to your property. I met his gaze, then the judge's. They forged my signature on Grandma's will, funneled money through offshore accounts via Nina's logistics, and used my credentials for illegal contracts. He nodded. Did you consent? I shook my head. Evidence unfolded. The deed photo, IP logs tracing to Elias's network, the audio of Dad's threat, bank transfers to shell companies. Elias sat rigid, Nina whispered to her lawyer, Dad stared past me. The defense objected to the audio's legality. Tara countered with Sam's chain of custody declaration, intact, time-stamped. Nina's attorney tried. This was a misunderstanding. Lena relinquished claim. I leaned into the mic. Misunderstanding doesn't include stolen IDs and federal fraud. The prosecutor held up a contract with my clearance codes, Nina's name on it. Then to Dad, Mr. Voss, explain the $300,000 to Oak Ridge. Silence. He glanced at Elias, then me, not his daughter now but a witness. Hayes pressed. Voss, was this a conspiracy? I said, yes. It was about power silencing me. The judge's gavel fell. Court finds sufficient cause. Trial set for 6 weeks. Motions denied, freezes intact. I exhaled a small release. Reporters scribbled, veterans in the back nodded. Elias fumbled with his phone, deleting family photos. Erasing me again. Archived it all. At home I plugged in an old drive, its files a time bomb. Contracts, surveillance stills, a video of grandma. This house goes to Lena. She'll keep it safe. Tara stared. That's your hammer. My phone buzzed, an email. If Lena speaks, we lose freedom. Move fast. Tara's call confirmed the trial's acceleration. Evidence piled up. Nina's metadata, Dad's signatures. In court, I handed Grandma's will to the judge. Police stormed in, serving arrests. Elias, Nina, and Dad were cuffed, their empire crumbling. Outside, veterans approached, a man with a prosthetic leg shaking my hand. We're not forgotten, I said. He nodded. A reporter yelled, do you hate them? I looked at the sky, sun breaking through. I carry clarity. Weeks later, at the Defense Service Library, my name, Major Lena Voss, 2001 to 2023, Valor, Service, Integrity, etched in granite. Tears stung, but I stood tall. As the sun set over the coast, I felt strength rise from past pain, a triumph with Noah. If this story moved you, subscribe to Revenge Tempest, and comment where you're watching from.